Okay, I'm back from vacation and modern investing is on. And Jim It, welcome to the show from It Foundation, will assist me in this program. Thank you very much for showing up, Jim.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, today is not the greatest day on the market. Maybe it's
Oh,
one of the worst days. In fact, it's a complete massacre. Everything is going down, and it's a fantastic combination when Bitcoin, gold, silver, stocks, everything, whatever you can touch, all assets are going down. All world, including United States, are selling all American assets.
yes.
Just sell, sell, sell. Okay, so what's next? We are going to hear about brokers jumping from 31st floor, and investors are shooting themselves. What's next, Jim, in your opinion?
Well, there's a lot of red on my screen too, Sasha,
Yeah.
and um, people are selling America, and we have one person in power to thank for that. The dollar is getting hammered. People are exiting the dollar, and even in America, the brokers are not so much selling American assets as covering. So their new investments are in things that are hedging American investments that they've already made. So this means less investment in the future, and what that means to the stock market in general is it's going to be there's still uncertainty, which markets don't like, because who knows what Trump will do next, and we have no clue. And often he chickens out. He barks and freaks people out, and then he does nothing. But sometimes he does things, and most of them, for example, what he did with Venezuela, for example, has an adverse effect on the market. So certainly, all the things that he promised coming into his second administration have not borne fruit. Um, the immigration may have closed the borders and some, but the outrage against what ICE is doing has permeated the world and American citizens. They're waking up. Even Republicans are waking up to the fact that this is not the America we signed up for. We didn't vote for this. People holding and restraining an American citizen on the ground and then shooting him multiple times is not what we signed up for. That's not what we voted for. And so he's starting to back off a little bit on that kind of stuff. But it isn't until the midterms that I have any hope for this country. If we can send a message in the midterms and says, this is not what we want, and throw the bums out. The people that are supporting Trump, throw them out. The people that Trump endorses, vote for their opponent. These are the types of things that the American voice has to speak up now. And the midterms are our first chance to do that. There are some special elections. Speak up in those special elections. Let it out. Let your anger at what Trump is doing out. And the markets will restore. And they will return to their former states, which were very high valuations to begin with. So what we're seeing now, I'm not suffering losses yet because the gains that I had, they haven't dropped to the point where I'm suffering losses. But all of the run up that I've been enjoying for these last several years, that's almost evaporated. So although I'm not feeling the pinch as much as most people, many people are feeling the pinch. And so you're going to have to show up, cast your ballots, throw this bum out.
Yeah, that's a very interesting observation, Jim. And in my opinion, never mind Democrats, they always will vote against Trump. There is no doubt about that. But I think this time independents will
Yes.
put their voices against Trump because I'm not sure how much they supported him last election at
Right.
all, but he had some support, and I think it will evaporate. I think very few independents will vote for Trump. And people telling that, well, the Democrats don't have a strong candidate or so on. I think this election will be anti-Trump election. It doesn't matter who will be candidate from Democrats. Now, there is a dilemma for Republicans as well, because Republicans, they cannot oust Trump through impeachment or through other means, because that will be the end of Republican Party for a long, long time. So they have to sort of stick together and go through all these horrible events which are happening, and they really hope that something will change and Trump will understand that this is not the right way, so he should go the right way, and so on, and we will survive as a party. But there are very few chances that he may not be able to find the right way, because if you look at his domestic policies, if you look at his international policies, his anywhere from Greenland, Canada, Cuba now, Iran, and like if he was dreaming about a Nobel Peace Prize, I think it's all evaporated. Maybe that explains why he is becoming now so aggressive, because he understands he'll never have a Nobel Peace Prize. So hell with that. So I'll do whatever I really wanted to do. But I don't think that American people support this his sort of initiatives at all. And actually, what's happened is that the United States lost their soft power. There is no more soft power left. Now, people in Europe, they're bombastic about Trump and his policies almost anywhere. And it's going to be a very tragic situation until something will change. Like stock market is going down big time, and this is very, very serious. It could rival the Liberation Day. It could go even deeper down than Liberation Day, because Liberation Day, it was a short event. It was okay. It was 3-4 days, and then he retracted, and the market started to recover. In this situation, I just don't see any single event or combination of events that would be retrieved. Something will happen. Market will not going down to zero. Market will recover at some point. But what has to happen for that? I'm at loss. I really don't know. What, Jim, about you?
Well, I think, until the midterms, this uncertainty will continue. And then if the midterms go the way that I think that they should, the markets will rally back. And I do believe, however, that there is no earnings report that a company is going to produce, which has been fueling the market for a long time now. Earnings have been record setting. These companies that I have been invested in any case, that keep reporting record earnings and keep reporting, and beating market expectations. And that's why the market keeps going up, has been kept going up. And so once those earnings, if they flatten out or if they start to drop, for example, AMD just got hit pretty big time because their quarterly earnings did not meet expectations. And so, prior to this particular drastic drop, I would have seen that as a buying opportunity. Anytime that a company that I think is well run and well positioned in the marketplace and has been reporting great earnings, and these earnings were not bad, they just didn't meet expectations.
Yeah, but even those companies that met expectations, their stock were going down.
Yes, absolutely.
Jim, one very important observation. Before you jump in to exercise your buying opportunities, remember that before the stock would go higher, it has to stop going down.
Yes.
It must stop going down. It cannot go down and up at the same time. So it has to go all the way down. All the fearful people, weak hands, all the speculators, they all have to be gone.
Right.
Once that will happen, and it will no longer continue to go down, it will stabilize somewhat, even one day.
Yes,
So
I have not yet started buying.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and I would urge caution, because I don't have to time the exact highs and the exact lows of a market, but I do want to get in towards the bottom, and I want to sell when it's towards the top. And this seems like simple things to say, but how do we know when it's reached a bottom? What are the
Panic.
signs?
It must be a panic. Everybody has to become fearful of the market. Everybody has to talk about their losses, preferably losses of everything. That would indicate that it's done, because if you didn't lose everything, you still have something. And market makers will not allow you to escape. They have to take you to the very last penny. Once your account is liquidated, then it's time to bring the stop on. And it's almost like an open book, unless you have self um, directed account where only you know. Well, I mean, your broker knows, of course, your positions, but they cannot affect your positions. They
Right.
cannot sell you out, or they cannot, okay, they can do margin calls. So you have to obviously avoid margin calls, because if there is a margin call, there is very little to do. Don't ever bring more money. You have margin call, sell. Margin call, sell. Do not bring the money. Keep it, because you may need this money a little bit later. So don't bring the money. Just sell. Sell. Agree. Okay. Okay. It was not my day. It's not the right time. Okay. You
Right.
sell. You keep selling, but don't bring more money. And once market will stabilize and will start a little bit recovery, then you can throw money in. Um, I think there is another issue that people believe that GDP is growing at something 4.3%. Now, this is a fiction. There is
Yeah.
no 4.3. There is a money being shoveled between artificial intelligence plays. NVIDIA invests $100 billion. Listen to that. At AI, on a proposition that AI will buy NVIDIA chips or so on. What we learned yesterday? Oh, it was a letter of intent.
Uh-huh.
It's not enforceable. Well, we decided we have to wait and see, and maybe we'll do something else with our money. So, artificial intelligence, mm, um, this open AI, they're looking out for another source for money. And in this environment, it will not be easy. It's not that there is NVIDIA, here is $100 billion, enjoy. It's going to be something different this time. So a
Right.
lot of this 4.3% GDP, it's activities in AI sector. Somebody invested, somebody sold, somebody bought, somebody did something. A real GDP, there is no growth at all.
Yes.
Simply
It,
not.
there's no gains in manufacturing, for example,
No,
and it's a
no.
disconnect between Wall Street and Main Street. People on Main Street are feeling the pinch, and they're feeling it very. And this is what the disappointment in the Trump administration, the second Trump administration, is all about. They are they were promised that he was going to restore their economic prosperity, regain the social ability, the social mobility to move up in their lot in life, and all of that has proven to be a fiction, and none of that has trickled down to the average voter. And these types of things, where the economic pinch is, his tariffs were an example of driving prices up and giving you fewer options. And so this was a foolish thing for him to do. Yet, it what it did was divide America and unite the rest of the world against us. But people didn't realize it at the time, and they believed what he was telling them. And they thought, oh my goodness, this is a good thing. Well, now they're starting to feel it. Now they're starting to realize, oh, this is, prices are higher. I'm not getting raises. There are more people looking for jobs than there are, and the number of jobs are shrinking.
Yeah.
So this combination is, when people are graduating from you get a higher degree in education and you go out into the marketplace, there are fewer jobs for you, and there are more of you competing for them. So because there are people with experience that have been laid off, and that's the person the new graduate is going up against, someone who has this experience. So it's very tough now, and people are realizing, it's starting to dawn on the average American that their economic situation is worse. And that when they're asked their opinion about their prospects for the coming year, they're being negative. They're saying they don't see how it's going to get better. And this is when people get, Trump's approval rating will never crater too much because he has a solid base of people who believe he can do anything. And
Я перезвоню через 20 минут.
And these people will still vote for him. Once he bragged that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and still get elected. And he wasn't far wrong. He never suffers any consequences. He's convicted of over 30 felonies, no consequences. He goes and kidnaps a foreign president from another country, and no consequences. He commits piracy on ships containing oil, resources that he wants. He threatens to take over Greenland because they have rare earth minerals that he wants. And following World War II, we were allowed to establish military bases in Greenland, and the rest of the world was grateful that we would do that. It was for our interest, but it was also aligned with theirs. And this type of cooperation, no one trusts America now to be a cooperative and a fair partner in any business enterprise or military exercise. The trust has been broken. It's been broken by one man. We've had a series of Democratic and Republican presidents who maintain that trust. And this one particular president has destroyed that trust. And how are we going to rebuild it? It's not going to be overnight. And
it will take some time. And you forgot to mention also inflation. Inflation has not been beaten under Trump. In fact, there are some signs that it may rise, inflation. So it's another concern. Affordability based on the higher inflation also will be affected. So there are several, just too many problems to mention about this Trump administration, both internal issues and foreign issues. I would like to mention something what I spoke about yesterday on Ukrainian show, is that today start a new round of negotiations, so-called negotiations. I don't call them real negotiations,
right.
Because what's happened, you have simultaneously 3 tracks. One track is a possible peace between Ukraine and Russia. There is no chance that it will ever happen. But Trump insists, and Zelensky has no choice as to play as a good boy, say, yeah, sure, okay, we'll have meetings. What Trump is using these meetings actually for second track. Second track is between how to split the Russian assets between him and his family and friends, and Putin and his family and friends. And this has nothing to do with the peace in Ukraine or anything. But he needs a peace in Ukraine because American people will not understand that while one country is fighting another one, and Trump is doing with the president of that country some kind of business deals and wheeling and dealing, American people may not like it a lot. But anyway, that track is the most serious one, and that's why Trump needs these negotiations, not to have peace in Ukraine, not at all. I was always wondering why Trump, okay, so Russians are killing Ukrainians and Ukrainians are killing Russians. Why he is so concerned about it? What's his business about that? There will be 100,000 killed or 10 million people killed. How it affects Trump? It doesn't. All of a sudden, for a year, he's going back and forth and sending Witkovens and going be willing and dealing. And he even put a portrait of Putin in the White House recently, and go and figure out. Apparently now a new revelations are coming from Epstein files. Apparently Epstein was operating under great surveillance of Putin, and Putin was sending him Russian girls, and From one of them, Bill Gates, got a little sickness, and he was asking for remedies for it for his wife, and there's some other details. But the most important thing is that it's all closely coordinated with Putin, and this is maybe why Trump believes that Putin is his very good friend, and they were having a good time together, one way or another. And this is another anomaly that you can't imagine any other U.S. president would ever get involved on such a level.
Well, one of the things is we used to try to export the values of a democracy to the world. And Putin, who people think of as a communist, but really he's a czar. And what he's done is export czarist tendencies to values to Trump. So
Yeah.
Trump thinks of himself as a czar, as an autocratic leader who can just write an executive order to carry out whatever it is, regardless of Congress, regardless of the courts, and there will be no consequences to his actions. And he has been largely correct. There have been no consequences. But it's time that Americans rose up and raised their voices and voted to show him that there are consequences to being un-American in your value systems, to exporting these types of things, to going into another country, taking their resources. How could we object if China takes over Taiwan? This is the type of thing that Putin thinks he can do. This is the type of thing that Trump thinks he can do. How can you then object if another country says, "Oh, I want to take over this other sovereign country because it's in my best interest"?
Exactly.
That all that drives us is our narrow best interest. There's no international cooperation anymore. No, there is none. And from
Hey,
this,
Sasha and Jim, just really quickly, I
Sure,
think
Mark.
that Rick mentioned it on the other show, and I had heard one number, but no matter what it is, and I know you've even said it, Sasha, before. Apparently, Trump has got a new title. He's the biggest grifter of all times because apparently he's got something like $4 billion. I think the New York Times or the New Yorker has said that he has made that amount of money on various deals with various countries, including the UAE and other countries around the world. Apparently, he
Including
just
his
made a
family.
deal.
Yeah.
Apparently, he just made a deal recently with Colombia because it has to do with the drug traffic. But he just had a meeting, even though he pissed off the Colombia leader as well. So he apparently just made a new deal. So what's our thoughts around this? Because apparently he has found a new way to get rich quick. We know that there's all kinds of get rich quick schemes, like people buying the lottery ticket, but he found a way to do it by doing these less than ethical business deals.
Right. Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt once called the presidency a bully pulpit, but he didn't mean bully the way that Trump means it. Trump thinks he can get away with anything and can do and bully people into doing what he wants them to do. And part of this is also lining his own pockets and those pockets of his family members by making deals with people in other countries, and it's using American policy, presidential power and American policy to give them what they want. And then he enriches himself and others around him. Now, have we ever had a president like this? I can't think of one. And so this is unprecedented, and it has to take some sort of unprecedented counterforce in order to get us out of this mud that we're stuck in. Yeah, and I don't know if the Americans have it in them to stand up, but the American citizens the U.S. American citizens have a chance to do something about it. Will they take it? Are they outraged about it? We're getting numb to all of these things. We hear these things and they used to outrage us. Then not anymore. We seem to be numb to them. Well, come on.
People are scared.
Yourself. Wake up.
People are scared these days because Trump, there is a fear. Trump has created a quite formidable machine of his cabinet members. They're not very bright people, but they're all faithful to Trump and will do almost anything to promote his values and do all kind of business what he wants them to do. Or sometimes even they're going ahead themselves and they anticipate what he wants and doing something what he wouldn't even ask them to do. But they would do it anyway. There's too big to
Yeah, no
climb the
doubt about
mountain higher. Do you remember a couple of years ago, maybe years ago, there was so much noise about Nancy Pelosi making a couple $100,000 in insider trading. And there was a noise and the Congress hearings and all that stuff. What Trump is doing, making Nancy Pelosi innocent schoolgirl of second grade,
Yeah.
which is nobody compared to what Trump is doing. And openly, he's not even hiding what
I
he's.
know this is the thing. This is where he doesn't believe there are repercussions, and he's not trying to cover his tracks. We always said that the cover up was worse than the crime, and they got Richard Nixon, and he's not covering it up.
Well, speaking of covering
It's
up,
still a
there
crime,
are
though.
two buildings that are being renovated now, and I am of the opinion, tell me if I'm wrong, that he's probably got his hands in the construction of both the ballroom and the redesign of the Kennedy Center, because I'm thinking that he's probably going to make some money off of some of those constructions, whether it's him directly or whether it's family members of his. So what do you think, Sasha and Jim? Do you think he's got his hands in those two business dealings?
What do you think he's not? I would be very much surprised.
No, he's definitely got his hands in that and everything, no doubt about that.
Well,
I
one
do
of
have
the
an
things about
investment question really quickly, since it is modern investment. And I remember ages ago when I was in college, and this was ages ago because I went to college in the 80s and everything, there were two businesses that were very popular that people were going into, and they were kind of like the door-to-door salesman and everything like that. And one of them was the Kirby vacuum, and the other was the encyclopedia. I think I did both of those at one time or another. So I was just wondering, are those good investments? Would you invest in Kirby or any vacuum cleaner? Because I just heard the vacuum in my next door neighbor and everything. Or would you invest in encyclopedias? Or no need to get an encyclopedia since the encyclopedia is on Google?
Good point.
Encyclopedia, you have everything on the internet, everything what you need to know, everything is there. So it requires a special talent these days to sell encyclopedia. I think it takes a genius to make even one sell. Now, what's the other one?
The vacuum cleaner, Kirby
Oh,
vacuum cleaners, because a lot of people used to go around knocking on the doors to sell you the Kirby vacuum cleaner. I'm sure that Jim got that door to knock even in California and everything.
Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. But yeah, those days may be behind us too, or maybe they'll start up again. I don't know. But yeah, with the artificial intelligence on our phones now, I used to be one of those people that had encyclopedias. I had atlases, world maps. I had Globe and dictionary, of course, and all those things. And they're gathering dust now. And
you never thought that there might be a natural exchange. Someone will sell you one encyclopedia for two vacuum cleaners. Both sides will make a little bit
yeah,
of
we're
money.
very
Both sides could make some money.
bartering now.
But one of the most important documents to many people, no matter what their religion is, even that's on the encyclopedia. So you don't even need because you remember the days, as I do, when our grandparents literally had a Bible in the home. But even now, you don't necessarily have to have a Bible in the home, even though many people do. But many people are looking at the Bible on the apps that are out there, because there are very many Bible apps as well. So even the Bible, you don't necessarily need to have.
No, they need to come with the new products. For example, encyclopedia, if it will be, say, Republican encyclopedia, everything what a Republican needs to know. Okay, this encyclopedia could have been sold. Or let's see, anti-Semitic encyclopedia. Okay, every anti-Semite would purchase at least one
I'm sorry,
set.
that's funny to me.
But wait a minute, Sasha, they did have the Republican encyclopedia. Wasn't that plan that they wrote called the 2025 plan? So that was the Republican encyclopedia, because they basically, everything that Trump is doing now, they predicted, and this was their playbook. To use the sports analogy, this was their playbook, and that was published. When was that, Jim? About 2 or 3 years ago that book was published? It was before Trump's second election.
Yeah.
Well, the only
he swore he wasn't going to follow it.
the only pleasure I can take from events like today on the stock market is that people who voted for Trump and who believed in the plan 2025 and all the stuff, they are suffering just as well. It's a
Yeah.
payback time, baby. So all they believe that Trump is a great thing or so on. I would like to see their faces when they're looking at today's statement and how they're suffering and getting margin calls or so on. That would give me a great pleasure, and that's why.
Sasha, the great economic stabilizer and the great economic equalizer is the economy itself. Because I think it's one of our presidential candidates said a long time ago, "Is the economy stupid?" And all along those lines. Because to your point, even in the Depression, a lot of the people that were thinking that they were going to make money were just suffering just as much as other people were, and a lot of them were in the poor people lines as well. So that is very much true, whether it was the Depression then or whether it's what we're facing now.
And don't forget something else. In a massacre like today, when everything is going almost vertical down, almost everything, especially high tech and Bitcoin. Oh, by the way, Bitcoin is going down. So maybe Trump will lose just a touch of his the Bitcoin related holdings and his meme coin and some other stuff.
Yeah, some of the cryptocurrency is what
He will lose just a little bit. If I would take interview from Trump, I would ask him what is his last statement on Bitcoin assets. Yeah, that would be very interesting. And what I wanted to say is, don't forget that whenever everyone sells, there is a buyer on the other end. Always think somebody is buying. Why does he have abundance of money, like trillions of dollars, and he doesn't know what to do with his money? Probably not. I think market makers, I think companies like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, I think they're very quietly accumulating stock at very, very affordable, say, prudent prices. That's what I think. So, Jim, you said that you wanted maybe to start a little bit of buying these days.
Oh,
I'm
no.
not sure about today, but
Yeah.
the time is the time will come. There is no doubt.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And, as I told you earlier, in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, I started to sell some things I had made profits from and accumulate more cash. And I was positioning, as I said on this show, for a market dip in February. And, before the end of February is what I said. And I don't know if this is the dip or how long it's going to last. But it was not. It was ice. I could see it coming. I don't think it was something that was. It wasn't certainly not shocking to me that the market is experiencing this. But as I said earlier, I don't think I need to buy at the absolute bottom. But I want to buy towards the bottom. And right now, today, I don't see it as a bottom. And so I'm going to. Yeah, I'm going to hold off. But I think by the end of February, I'm going to start buying some of these stocks that I still like, that are still generating revenue. And that's my bottom line. If they have low debt, generating revenue, they're going to survive whatever happens. And no matter how dire it gets.
Yeah, maybe recovery will happen at the end of February. I think that we will be out of this malaise by the end of March, because it's the end of the first quarter, so there will be window dressing. So the stockbrokers would like to show their clients that, oh, okay, we're doing okay, it's not so bad. So I think by the end of March, I think we should be okay. Maybe we will not recover what we lost lately, but maybe it will be on a way to recovery. Maybe not. It's hard to say. So the prudence, I have now, I'll tell you, I have no stocks. I sold Oracle, I sold NVIDIA. I still have NVIDIA, although it came down quite substantially.
Yes.
They declared dividends today, nothing too great about it, 9.3 cents, something like that.
Well,
Okay. So
Yeah, I
if
just looked at it. It's yeah.
that's why you keep paying this 9.3 with my 15,000 shares. So it represents,
That's just something else I might buy more of, and NVDY, because it has cratered to a lower price. Uh,
yeah,
than
yeah, the price is now very attractive. I am not sure whether it will continue to go down. And don't forget that at the end of the month, there will be NVIDIA's earnings. But again, you can show fantastic earnings and stock can still go down.
yeah.
Hey, Jim and Sasha, I know you're winding down, and I've got to just tease you and give you a little bit of a joke and everything along those lines. But I
Sure.
did figure out what I'm going to invest in, and all along those lines, because I'm in the South, I'm in Durham, North Carolina, and everything like that. We are in the middle of a snowstorm, and there's talk of more sleet and snow. So, Jim, and you too, Sasha, you don't have to worry about it because y'all get it all the time in Canada. But I think I'm going to invest in sleds for the kids and a snowblower. So I think that is going to be my next investment: sled and a snowblower, because I think that'll be my next investments, because you can't go wrong with that. And if anything else, I can rent them out.
What about electric heaters?
Electric heaters too. That's a good idea as well. Yes.
I think that should be good. Actually, I have a lot of friends now in Florida, and
Mittens and scarves.
yeah, they're getting on the warmer side. I have a friend of mine who is inviting me to come to Florida, and he is willing to pay for my trip or so on. And I'll tell him when it will be a little bit warmer, not now.
Exactly.
Not now. I don't want to travel to the United States, period. But I would accept his invitation once it will be a little bit warmer there. I think it will take maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a
Yeah.
month. But eventually it will get warmer for Florida.
It'll get warmer
That's
if
why
if you believe in Pataki Field. It'll get warmer in 6 weeks. So he came out recently and said it's going to be 6 weeks. That's that famous groundhog. So the
Right.
groundhog is predicting 6 more weeks of winter.
More winter. Yeah.
Okay. What can we do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't blame Trump for the cold, but there is plenty of blame to go around, and I do think that what's wrong with the country is going to be fixed by what's right with the country, and I do think the American voters are going to stand up and say this is un-American activity, and we are going to see brighter days, and it won't be in decades from now. I think it'll be very soon. The repercussions will start to be felt. People will express themselves at the polls and in the voting booths. And
Hold on a second, Jim. You said you can't blame Trump. Isn't Trump one of the climate deniers, along with several members of his administration? So in that case, we can't blame Trump for the weather.
We can blame Trump for the climate, but we can't blame Trump for the weather.
That's true. There is a difference. There is a difference.
Yeah. Very important thing to say. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much, Jim, you, Mark, for today's program. I hope next week we will be a little bit happier.
Yes.
The market should help us.
Some green on our screen.
Yes. Okay, in the meantime, just don't jump carelessly into the market, buying even. There are a lot of values now available, and you just wait a little bit, even if it will come all the way down and will start going higher. So you will not buy it at the cheapest point.
Not necessary.
I think you will buying close to that, but on the way higher. You're buying something on the way down. You don't know.
Sasha, there are some people that are jumping into the market, but they're not jumping into the stock market. They're jumping into another market because this is the Super Bowl, and I just saw a commercial recently. So a lot of people are jumping into the sports betting market, and I think that is just as dangerous, depending on, particularly if you don't know what you're doing in that market either. So you need to study what you're doing, but a lot of people are jumping into it willy-nilly, and I've seen a lot of advertisement for it, whether it's DraftKings or whether it's some of the other ones that are out there.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of like the lottery. A lot of people are jumping into that market without having a backing of knowledge.
Well, even if you have knowledge and experience, it's a very complicated market. Okay, I have a pretty good record in betting on soccer. And I'm waiting for this coming World Championship with United States or without United States. We'll see what will happen. Oh, by the way, Soccer Federation is thinking about taking away Trump's Peace Prize that he was awarded when they were here in New York. So they want to take it back from him. So not only he's not getting Nobel Peace Prize, he's going to lose even the FIFA, the International Soccer Federation Prize. And so that will be a great event. It will be starting, I think, June 11th to July 19th. I think that's going to be a great event, and I'm going to do a lot of betting. When you're doing betting, and actually the first rounds are fairly easy to bet because there will be a lot of favorites playing lesser known teams, so they will be quite certain. Um, but that's interesting because you're watching the game and you're involved in it all the way, and it doesn't matter. You can bet $10,000 on a game, or you can bet $25 on a game. It doesn't matter. You enjoy the game and you're involved in it, and so on. So that's quite interesting. Um, I'm a little bit discouraged about tennis betting because I think there are a lot of manipulations, and I'm trying not to bet on tennis. Even now, well, now I couldn't bet on tennis because I was in Curacao, and there are some stupid laws in Ontario. If you're outside of the province, you cannot bet.
Oh, wow.
So I have a bet this Bet 365, and that's their policy. So I couldn't bet while outside of Ontario, but that's okay. And no, I don't think that I miss anything significant because it was obvious that Alcaraz would win. Alcaraz made it to final. Djokovic made tremendous effort to take a second prize. He beat Sinner, which is unthinkable. Of course, to beat Sinner and Alcaraz in one tournament, one after another, I think it's unthinkable. I think it's next to impossible, which proved to be right. And
But I need to speak out about a cautionary tale because gambling can be addictive, and people end up being addicted and spending money they can't afford to lose. Right. And as we always say with the market, it should be money that you can afford to lose. It shouldn't be money that you need to pay for groceries or rent or something like that. Discretionary money. If you take it into a casino, it could be money that you can walk out, have lost it, and still lead a normal life. But gambling is not the same for everyone. Some people become addicted to it, and it's a tragedy for them and their loved ones. So always bet with money that you can afford to lose, and never extend yourself beyond that, or that's a sign of addiction. And get counseling, get treatment for it. It's available.
It's one of the biggest gambling days getting ready to come up in about 4 days, because I want to say that the Super Bowl is one of the biggest gambling days every year. Yeah. That's coming up between Seattle and New England. And
you could bet on everything, whether there be an interception, how many interceptions, anything you can imagine. There's a bet that you can put down on it. That's the thing that's scary to me, is that it's because we don't know. Most of it, for most people, it's fun. For most people, it's betting on a pool at the office is something that I used to do all the time. But these types of things can take control of people's lives. And
that's true, and it's very accessible because all you need a credit card, and so you use your credit, and then you put more money, and then you start asking your relatives to help you, and then so on, and it's like it never ends. It's a really horrible spiral, and unlike stock market, it doesn't teach you anything. In the stock market, at least you first of all, you can really invest long term bonds if you and some things. There are so much variety, so much instruments. In this sport betting, it's like I don't know. I enjoy only when I'm watching the game, and I enjoy the game, like soccer, for example, and I understand a lot. I used to play soccer myself when I was young, so at least something is a little bit more enjoyable. But again, I put small bets. I never put more than 200 on one event. So I'm trying to restrain myself, and although I do have enough money on the account so I can afford it. But
Of course.
just when you make bet of $25 or $2,500, I really don't see what's more enjoyable. $25, you don't care if you win or lose.
Some of them are
2,500, I don't know.
Some of it for me is just bragging rights, gentlemen's bets, and so with my friends and we aren't doing it this year with the Patriots and Seahawks in the Super Bowl, but sometimes it's one of those things where, and that's the enjoyment, is to be able to talk about it with someone else, for me. And and so you both watch with more enthusiasm.
Yeah, yeah. I remember my biggest bet. I put on hockey the final match of Olympia 2014, where Canada played Sweden. So I put three bets. I put $2,500 that Canada will become Olympic champion. Then I put $1,500. Then, of course, it was lesser odds that Canada would win in 60 minutes, no extra time or shootouts. And finally, I put $1,000 and Sidney Crosby will score at least one goal. And he did.
He did.
Yeah. So I won all three bets, but this I never bet that much. But maybe I was younger.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Today I wouldn't do that.
Right.
Jim, again, thank you very much again.
My pleasure.
And,
Thank
I will
you.
see you next week, same place, same time.
Okay.
Bye bye, everybody.
Goodbye.